Hello, folks. Welcome back to the channel. This is Anthony. You have a gas leaking from your Honda Snowblower. You went into your garage, or you smelled gas, or you seen a bunch of gas on your track or your tire. Came in the garage, you found a bunch of gas down here, or you can smell it. Usually, it's obvious. Uh, if you got a gas leak, because you're gonna smell it. So let's talk about that today. Let me go over the steps on how I find a gas leak and how I repair it. Now, first of all, I've mentioned this before. I think you should get in the habit of shutting off your gas between uses. Most people leave the gas on like that, and most of the time it's okay. I mean, 99% of the time it's okay. But sometimes if you've got a problem with the carburetor, you're going to have gas leaking out of there and I'll show you why. So get in the habit of shutting off your gas valve between uses. Let me show you. Sometimes it's very difficult to find out where the gas is leaking from, but the usual suspects are down here where the bowl is, or this is the sediment cup. Now what I do is I go down here and I feel for gas. I feel for the wetness of the gas. If it's wet right here, that might point to the sediment cup. If it's leaking, from the bowl gasket or from the bolt, mounting bolt, or the drain, I'm feeling around for gas. Okay, that's what I'm doing. And then I'll go on the. You have to take the top plate off to access the end of the fuel line. You're going to have to feel the end of the fuel line where it connects to your carburetor and see if it's wet or split. And the same thing underneath your gas tank. Can you see the fuel line? You want to see if that's wet. You'll feel around for wetness to see if if there's gas on this. It may be because of a leaking hose at the gas tank, or a split in the hose, or the fuel filter. So that's what I usually do to find the leak. And here, let me show you what I've got over here. I got the carburetor off, one of the carburetors, and the fuel tank. This is what I'm talking about. Your fuel line. You want to look at your fuel line down here and see if it's split. If it's wet down here, you got gas right down there, it may be because the fuel line's split. And on the other side too, you want to look up here. But usually, 9 times out of 10, it's on the carburetor somewhere. It's the sediment cup. It might be leaking from the sediment cup. See, there's an O-ring right here. Sometimes that fails. Or sometimes all you have to do is tighten up your sediment cup. But most of the time, if you feel gas on the end of your sediment cup, then it may be a faulty O-ring. Now you can buy the whole gasket kit for a carburetor. It has the bowl O-ring, sediment O-ring. It's got gaskets for the bolts, for the drain plug, and the mounting bolt. Okay, so usually I look here first. If I feel gas, it's usually this. Another reason would be, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a red washer a red washer right there. That's right here. Now this could be bad, see, and then it would leak from here too. Then take the or see you got another red nylon washer right here. It could be there too. Here's your bowl, and then then you got your O-ring right here. It could be dried out, cracked, or the bowl might not be on correctly. The bowl has to be put on so it seats nice and smoothly on here. If it's not, a lot of times I hear people saying they've got a gas leak after they've replaced the bowl. So that's the red flag. That's the clue that I'm looking for. It says, okay, you're going to have to check your bowl, make sure it's on right. Now, what I do is when I'm working on the machine, I don't have to take the carburetor off. I'll start the engine and shut off the gas and let it run dry, and then I can put it up on snow, see? And then I can access everything with the machine on the nose. I can sediment cup the bowl and everything. Those are the usual culprits, reasons why you're leaking gas. Or you can take the elbow off. Excuse me again. I'm coughing a lot. And then you can check at the end of your fuel line, and then you can check for the fuel line underneath here too. That's usually not. It's very rare for the fuel line up here to be split or leaking, but I've seen it happen a couple times. But like I said, the main reasons is usually in the carburetor, and usually the carburetor or the fuel line right here. Now the flow. The reason why I ask you to shut off the fuel between uses is because when the gas fills up the bowl, this float goes up here and shuts off the gas. Okay. Now, if there's any kind of dirt, let's take this off. Here's your float. You want to inspect your rubber end there on the needle, okay? If it's damaged, it doesn't look nice and pointy like this one. See if it will focus in. That looks good, see? If it looks like it's damaged or anything, then you're going to have leaking gas. Your bowl's going to fill up and overflow with gas. And another thing you want to do is where the needle goes into, if there's a piece of dirt in here, it will keep it from sealing, and it will overfill also. So that's why I usually tell people, I says, shut off your gas between uses so this doesn't happen. It doesn't usually happen too much with the newer machines. It's usually the old machines like the 80s and the 828s, 624s, or whatever. I see that a lot where the gasoline will overflow your bowl, and then it will leak out. It will leak out on the top here if this O-ring is dried out or cracked or whatever. So like I said, you always still check out the simple things first. You feel for the gas. Try to feel where the gas is coming from before you start tearing everything apart. The sediment cup, O-ring, it could be, or the O-ring for the bowl, or the drain plug washer, or the mounting bolt washer. Make sure that the bowl's on correctly, nice and flush on your carburetor body, and then you would check the ends of your fuel line. Make sure they're not cracked, and if they're not, if they're wet, it might be there. If it's wet down here, it could be coming up from up